welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching the show. We have a lot of great sports to talk about. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got Chip the Prophet Hayner with me. We have Smoking Jim's imaginary girlfriend, Brazil, and he's in traffic right now because of all the rain that was coming in here from Monroeville to Route 88. He's just there in transit. Hey, get away from Brazil there. And then we have Big Mike Butera. And what we do is we normally start out with what's on our mind, but I do have a couple promotions to tell you about. And here's one that's near and dear to us with Chip Hayner and Stephanie. And I want to thank Stephanie for writing on the back here so I can talk about the March for Babies Walk. It's Sunday, June 2nd at 8 a.m. and it starts at Heinz Field. And you use this link, which is www.marchforbabies.org/team/honor angels.
Hayner
Angels.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Haynor.
Hayner
Angels.
That's the only thing Stephanie combined up there. Sorry about that. This is a great cause, and they need your help. It's to lose young children and everything like this. It's just a terrible thing, Chip.
And the March for Babies, what this is, the funds that are used by the March of Dimes, this is their 75th year of the March of Dimes, but the money's used to help at-risk pregnancies, and we're walking in honor of the babies that we've lost. But we figured the best way to honor the little ones that we lost was to help other people that are, have pregnancies that are at risk with the medical care that they need. So it's a very worthy cause. Any contribution that anybody wants to make would be greatly appreciated.
And Stephanie even said to join the Hayner Angels and help walk, get people to sponsor you there too.
And again, that is at marchforbabies.org /team/Hayner Angels. And you can make your donations online.
Nice. And then here's our usual. We got that unicycle coming up there, that NAUCC. That's Sunday, July 21st to July 27th. That's the North American Unicycling Convention of Champions, and it's hosted by the Butler Wobble with Dave Crack, who's a guest and friend of the show. He'll be back on shortly. And you got to go up to Butler County, Seneca Valley School District, and Moraine State Park. They have events like 9 to 5 each day. We're even going to try to film up there. Devin Shea in our control room has volunteered to head up there. So
is Devin aware of that?
He is now. No, he is. We talked about it. He's a biker anyhow, on 2 wheels and with a motor, so he might want to try that out. Then we'll see Dr. Trina Hess up there.
Oh, it'd be great to see her.
She's actually practicing outdoors now, Chip, on a unicycle, because she has to compete in some of these events.
I follow her daily on a Facebook posting. She's got quite
speaking of Facebook, we need some more likes. We're increasing those likes. Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, a lot of great feedback. I run into a half a dozen different people, and they told me they're watching the show. My neighbor, hey Ed, thanks for watching the show. I didn't know he watched the show with his 10-year-old daughter Anna, so shout out to you guys. Ran into Vicky, Big Joe, Maria, Tim. Man, I'm losing track of some of the names. About 10 other people, Big Mike, that I didn't know were watching the show. So now, folks, since all you newbies out there, you know who you are, the ones that have been watching. Chief, enjoy that meal. Don't start your dessert yet. Dawn Cambidi, I hope they're eating that pizza at Sip Sports Bar. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Great pizza in the area. A legend in Dormont on Potomac Avenue. Big Mike, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? 8 o'clock, it's time to go. That was the longest promo I've ever experienced. Chip caught me in on that jazz. Okay. It's on tape, it's on live, et cetera, et cetera. I'm good for it. Al, thank you, Machine, for having us and my brothers. And you got all these new guys. Why don't you ask them to call in, man? Let's get
412.
831-3304. Let's have a
there's no caller.
Let's have a call in. I'm not going to be here next week, folks, but I may be calling in from wherever I shall be. Rick and Loretta, you know I love you. I'm coming up after I graduate in June. In the meantime, please send money to cover the cost. Last week was a pretty awesome night in the game of baseball. It was Tim Hudson of the Atlanta Braves won his 200th game, which he's one of 100, I think it's 110 guys to do that in the gazillion years of history of baseball to win 200 games. And what I wanted to get into tonight was the adrenaline rush that a top flight athlete experiences. And I was hoping Jim was going to be here because.
Hold on, let me check. He's on his way.
Okay, because I wanted to, you know, he's played at a higher level than most people
on the show.
And I wanted to ask him what an adrenaline.
Save that for your questions, there, my friend. We have a segment for that. You know how you want to ask Big Mike's questions.
Oh, but I got some good ones tonight. I mean, let's
say
the other ones weren't that good.
Focus on.
So
what's on your mind?
Tim Hudson won his 200th game, and in that game, he had a double and a home run. And he plays for the Atlanta Braves, although he started out with the Oakland A's. But he grew up in the Atlanta area. He grew up watching Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine, and to be on a mound in front of to be on a mound in his home field and with the team that he grew up watching, and you know, that had to be.
Interrupt and say, with his heroes that were actually watching him pitch,
probably
and achieve statistics like they have.
Hence the adrenaline rush, which I was kind of curious
with
about.
The higher level, because
I know I haven't had one in about 20 years, but that's beside the point for another show. But
Rick and
Loretti, and he, as I said, he doubled and homered, so he had to be like on a high, and
natural.
Correct, endorphins, etc. The irony of it was that just a week before at Coors Field, he was 1 out away in the bottom of the ninth from notching that 200th win on the road. But there was an error in the Greg Kimball, the Braves closer, you know, was credited for a blown save. So the adrenaline rush. One more thing that I think is really awesome. In his career, which I think spans now 15 years, he's 137-3 when he staked to a 3-run lead by his team. Is that awesome or what? 137-3.
We'll revisit that because that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's incredible. I'm not. Some of these stats that go on in professional sports are way over the top, but that's a stat that it just stands out. So I thought that the adrenaline rush Jazz and Tim Hudson winning his 200th was pretty awesome.
Thank you, Big Mike. That was very informative there.
That's
you come up with some great stats, too.
Every now and then.
Well, thank you. And now we'll go to Chip Hayner. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind tonight? You know, in the first shot that Tim Hudson had at his 200th victory was against the Pirates here in Pittsburgh. I believe he lost. But that was when the Pirates won 3 or 4 from the Braves.
Where's the
But
Kool-Aid
you know,
at?
what's on my mind? You know, last night at Sip Sports Bar, I gave a little shout out to one of Pittsburgh's all-time greatest athletes, and I think probably the greatest Pittsburgh Steeler of all time. Joe Green has announced his retirement finally for all from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I wanted to make sure that we made a little mention of that, and it prompted a lot of discussion on the airwaves today. And I thought it was kind of interesting, and we never really get any callers in here, and I'd like to maybe strike up some things that maybe we can discuss later on the show when we go to revisit.
Sure.
But these are some of the things that I was thinking. We talk about the greatest Steelers of all time, and there's arguments that could be made for quite a number of impressive Steelers, because from this team from the 70s, there was 9 guys that went to the Hall of Fame. Quite a number of them are quite deserving of possibly being the best Steeler of all time. Joe Green, which would be my pick. I would think, he was Chuck Noll's first round draft pick in 1969. I'd say Jack Ham, who they say may be the second greatest outside linebacker ever to play football, number 1 being Lawrence Taylor. You have Terry Bradshaw, one of 2 quarterbacks to win 4 Super Bowls. There was Mel Blount, the cornerback that changed the way the game was played. So there's a lot of different Steelers that could be considered the greatest Steeler of all time. And I'd like everybody to give it some thought and think of who you like and come up with some reasons why. So that got me thinking about the other sports in Pittsburgh, and I was thinking, well, what about the greatest Pirate of all time? And I was thinking about, well, look at what their contributions were to the team and to the community. And of course, the first one that jumps off the page is going to be Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente was a great humanitarian, gave his life up trying to help people that were in need of help in Nicaragua, earthquake victims. And the reason why he was on that plane was because the supplies that they had been sending to them were being taken by the Sandinistas, and they weren't getting to the people that needed the supplies. So Clemente got on that plane himself to see to it that the supplies that they were sending there were getting into the hands of the people that needed them. You know, and then you also think about, Willie Stargell. Well, Willie Stargell did a lot for the Pittsburgh Pirate organization. 1979, he brought a world championship into Pittsburgh. There's somebody else that popped into my head, but I doubt that there's anybody alive that ever witnessed him playing, was Hannes Wagner. Hannes Wagner is one of the greatest ball players of all time. Big Mike
saw him. That's one of my favorites.
But
and another guy too, Pie Traynor.
So there are some candidates for the greatest pirate of all time. And then you've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I think the conversation begins and ends with Mario Lemieux.
La Magnifique.
You think about the great people that played on the Penguins teams, and most of their history is from the late '80s. But you had Lemieux, you had that jerk Yager, you had Ronnie Francis, there was Tom Barrasso, who was a great goaltender, but
how about Sil Apps?
But a horrible human being. Okay, there was Sil Apps, there was Jean Pronovost, there was Les Binkley. I mean, there was a whole list of them. So I was thinking about that, and then of course I'd say Lemieux definitely takes the cake for the Penguins, because not only did he rescued the franchise more than once. First in 1984 when he was the first draft pick. Right. Then when Howard Baldwin was bankrupting the team and Lemieux took over ownership of it. And then once again when he couldn't get the arena built and that there was a threat to the team. So he's a three-time savior of the franchise. So that leads me to my last thought. Which of all these professional athletes was the greatest professional athlete in Pittsburgh sports history? That's something that we
save that for another edition.
That's something that we should think about and evaluate, and what criteria would we use to determine that. But that's what's on my mind.
Pretty awesome, and that's a thought-provoking.
There's a lot of there's a lot of different ways that every argument could go, and I really don't think any one of them are wrong. They're all great candidates.
And I just got we're going to have to go to a commercial break. Smoking Jim Frazier is in the house. Brazil, you're going to have to vacate your seat. So we're going to take a little commercial break here, folks, and we'll be back right with you with Smoking Jim Frazier. Enjoyed the commercial. Smoking Jim just made it off of Route 88 in a thunderstorm. Here he is, folks. He's dry. And look at the shirt he has. How much did that cost you, Smoking Jim?
You know what? I was prepared to pay for it, but I got it for free.
So did I, and mine's in the wash.
If it's free, it's for
Me.
And V. And we're still trying to finish up what's on our mind. We got a little talkative there, Smoking Jim, so you're actually out.
Wow.
What's on your mind?
Oh, man, I feel honored. Yesterday at Sip Sports Bar, what's on my mind was inspired by my main man, Chip. But tonight, what's on my mind is, we're going to continue with the Spotlight Player of the Week. I think the Steelers have two players that are walk-ons, free agents that have a chance to make the football team. I spoke about one guy last week, and the other guy this week is an offensive guard center. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, academic All-American from the University of Notre Dame. Got a football pedigree for his name. That's a big word. I hope I'm using it right. But his name is Mike Golick Jr. A lot of people may know his dad. His dad was a overrated football player for Notre Dame and for the Philadelphia Eagles. But his uncle, Bob Golick, was a great player. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Was an All-Pro for the Cleveland Browns and the L.A. Rams or L.A. Raiders, Oakland Raiders, Anaheim Raiders.
Pick one.
But
Al Davis's Raiders.
Al Davis's
That's
Raiders.
right.
But Bob Golick, when he played nose guard for the Cleveland Browns, and the great Iron Mike Webster used to go at it. I mean, that used to be a bloodbath when they played against each other. That was a classic matchup. And so my Spotlight Player of the Week is Mike Golick Jr. He bench presses 225 pounds, 31 reps, very intelligent guy, and the Steelers have no backup offensive lineman, so he should make the team.
What about the new guy they signed from Jacksonville? What's his name? Wimpy?
We'll revisit that. Well, thanks, Smoking Jim. Appreciate your spotlight there. They're always entertaining.
Thank you, sir.
And what's on my mind is Pucks and Bucks. I mean, that sticks in my mind that we got the Pucks and the Bucks. I know you're all switching between watch that channel, don't touch that dial. So thanks for watching us. We provide a nice brand of entertainment for you. It's not your traditional sports show. So on the Bucks and Pucks, I'm hopeful that the Pirates can win tonight. They're going to have a few changes from what I heard with guys moving around, coming up and down. And maybe we'll get Grilly back in the game again since he had a little rest, since the bullpen's rested a little bit. And then I think they just sent, McDonald for being a drama queen or something like that. His shoulder hurts now, so he's going to be on the DL.
No, he's got put on the 15-day disabled list this afternoon. They're going to be starting Genmar Gomez in his place tonight. And they've already brought Josh Harrison up from Indianapolis, and he will be available to play tonight. Also, Francisco Liriano will be making his first start for the Pirates this Saturday in New York. But, there's been questions about J-Mac's performance this year. Okay,
and we question it all the time.
And everybody seems to think that there's something going on up here. But I've heard several people talking about the lack of velocity that he's had over the last couple of weeks, and he keeps on insisting that there's nothing wrong with him. And and here's a guy that's being given a chance to be a starting pitcher on a winning baseball team at the major league level. And, if he has been having problems with his shoulder and has not been forthright with his team, I think that does not bode well for his future here in Pittsburgh. And I hope whatever's wrong with his shoulder gets healed. But, he owes it to the team and his teammates to, if he's not able to perform at the level that he's expected to, then he needs to step aside so that somebody else can come in.
You think the Pirates are blacklisting?
I tell you what, I think if Charlie Morton gets back, that J-Mac may not have a spot in the rotation if he isn't injured.
Well, I think he may revisit the minor leagues because look at Tabata. He looks in shape.
I don't think they're going putting him into minors. I think with J-Mac, for him to get to the minors, he's going to have to clear waivers, and he'll get taken off the roster because somebody will snatch him up.
It might serve a great method for him to improve his game and not worry about what he does here for half a season. So who knows? I'd hate to lose him. I thought he had a lot of great talent. You know, and that's part of what's on my mind. Go Pens. Let's not give up on them. They're going to win tonight. I believe that every night. And the series may go 7 games. So don't worry about it. Big Mike D, who missed our show last night, he was running some errands in the jitney service that he has. So he said they can still do it in 5. So check out Pittsburgh Sports Nation on Facebook, and he blogs everywhere. Now we're going to go to our segment, Revisit What's on Our Mind. And I wanted to start out with that statistic with Hudson. You said 137-3 was his record after 3 runs were scored. That's phenomenal.
If they stake him to a 3-run lead, it can be in the first inning. It can be any time during the game. Incidentally, I go by chop liver 1 or 2. Since his main man is Chip, I have to be chop liver 1, and you're chop liver 2.
And, so I call you Pate?
You guys.
And your point to that.
I have no clue. But here's another thing about Tim Hudson. He's in select company. His winning percentage is .656, and the only 200. I don't know what's the modern day. The only modern day 200 game winners
from 1900, maybe.
Yeah, but dead ball. They also factor in a dead ball whenever that was.
Early
but nonetheless,
1900s.
well, probably so because one of them is in that era. But the only modern day 200 game winners with a better career winning percentage are Whitey Ford at .690. That's incredible. Pedro Martinez and his monkey at .687.
Who did you say first?
Whitey Ford, the chairman of the board. Pedro Martinez and his monkey at .687. Lefty Grove, who was actually a righty, but he threw lefty, is at .680. Christy Matheson from the modern day at .665. Roy Halladay, who's in jeopardy, at .663, and Roger Clemens, my main man, at .658.
Well,
Tim Hudson.
To speak to some of your statistics, you say, Tim Hudson has done a great job. Winning 200 Major League Baseball games over a 15-year career is a pretty impressive statistic. But I look at one of the measuring sticks that we look at for Hall of Fame pitchers is that magic number 300 wins. And I honestly feel, in this age of specialization with the pitchers and everything, that we're never going to see another 300-game winner. I look at the last few pitchers that broke 300, people like Tommy Glavine, Greg Maddux, and I believe that, I was always a huge fan of Roger Clemens, but I believe his records are a little on the tainted side considering his complicity in the use of steroids and everything. But, you look at a pitcher like Greg Maddux, and most people would never, you could sit next to him, you would not think he was a professional athlete. And here's a guy that never threw a pitch over 88 miles an hour. And he just had such great command and had such late movement on his pitches that he could make even the biggest and strongest hitters look foolish by adjusting his speeds and picking his locations. But, 200 wins, that's an impressive statistic. But, the guys that really have always impressed me are the guys that could make it all the way to 300.
Yeah, to me, that's a better stat.
Well, it certainly is, but as Chip said, and for a lot of reasons...
We state the obvious. Come on now, this is a sports show.
Overstate the obvious.
You guys I don't, I just state the obvious.
Which one are you, by the way, 1 or 2?
3.
Liver, chopped liver. Okay.
I like chopped liver.
Okay.
I'll have some after the show with you.
Awesome.
Now, where are we?
Revisiting.
More revisiting? Smoking Jim missed most of the revisiting for the first visit. So I think we covered a lot. We're running through the show. I can't believe we're already 26 minutes in, 27 minutes into the show.
Holy smokes.
And I wanted to bring up Sip Sports Bar. I already gave a little teaser with Campiti's Pizza.
Holy smokes.
Chip has many fond memories of that. What are you looking at, Brazil? You guys are too much. Chop liver 3, you're doing all right there. Anyhow, don't forget 50-cent pizza Tuesday nights while you're watching our show. on Verizon anywhere.
And
I'll
Don
be-
Campiti has that pepperoni imported from Chicago, especially
Really?
for
Yes,
his
he
pizzas.
does.
Oh my God!
That's good
You got to
pizza
try
in
one of the
Chicago.
pepperoni pizzas. I recommend the double.
We're going right
pepperoni
after
pizza.
this, Smoking Jim.
I'm telling you, it's good stuff.
We're not going to go to Campiti's, but we'll go to Sip Sports Bar. And then Thursday night, I know I was there last week for 25-cent wings.
What night?
Thursday night. Then you seem to forget what night that was. That Smoking Jim may make it. We don't know.
I'll
He's
be
trying
there.
to schedule
I'll
a
be
run.
there.
He's a busy man. Then Friday they still have the jumbo fish special with coleslaw, $7.50. And they have entertainment. I'm not up to date on it. Check out their Facebook page, Sip Sports Bar. But it was a great show. We had another BPTV first that I want to tell you guys about so you can watch it. We had a singer, Armand Ashley, who this guy has a voice that he's got nowhere to go but to the top. He has a CD coming out in the next couple months. We had his sponsor there, RJ, and Lori was there. Really great people. RJ's with Energy Plus.
And Armand sang us a few bars of the national anthem
Halfway
last night.
through.
And I want to tell you what, it was very impressive. He sang the national anthem for the Pirates game last Saturday, and this young man is just an amazing
Look a
talent.
little like Stevie Wonder, don't he?
He does have some nice sunglasses, and he's a local guy,
I'll
right
tell you
from
what,
East Liberty.
He sings
So,
he sings like a nightingale,
Yeah, he
man. I'm
does.
telling you what.
you can go check out his page, Armand Ashley. Just check that out. We want to promote him. He's a great guy. He'll be back on our show.
Absolutely, friend of the show.
And we had Kat Ferrari and the Pittsburgh Force.
Yes, sir.
Had some great players there. One of the rookie players, Emily, already friended me, likes Pittsburgh Sportsline. She loved the show, being a guest. We had some great players. Denise is one of the most experienced players, and we want to pray for her. She has breast cancer, and you should see her. She looks in great shape. She's ready to play. So, I mean, we'll just keep her in our prayers, too. It's a great bunch of ladies. They'll be starting their season in 2014. One of the reasons we're bringing this up is they do need sponsors. It's $500 to sponsor one of the ladies so they can play football. They're trying to work some jersey deals and equipment deals. So anything you can do to sponsor a player, we'll have them on as many times as they can show up each week and put their rookies out there and some of their experienced players. So we appreciate your support. They all not volunteer, but they do play for free. They don't get any money. It's the love of the game. And we're all about sports here in Pittsburgh, and it's a Pittsburgh team. So that's another one of my announcements, Big Mike, and we're going to move on to some of the next three favorite segments of the show in my book. The next one is Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Whoa!
you got to
took
see
it from
Levine.
He took it from Levine.
Whoa! All I got is white.
But, hey, my fiction and facts goes all the way back to this past weekend. I tell you what, I got a phone call, and most people that know me know I don't answer my phone very often.
Yes, I do know that.
And it's even harder to get me on email. I got 60,000 email and 30,000 unread.
And that's just last week.
But I got a call from California late last Wednesday night, a public relation firm in California, and they asked me if I would be interested in doing an exclusive interview with a guy that's ranked #1 in the world. I had to ask them to clarify exclusive. So they said I would be the only sports writer in the city of Pittsburgh that has access to this guy. And I tell you what, it was like being with the Beatles. The guy that I interviewed, you guys may know, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding is called the Mr. Olympia, made famous by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who won 7 of them.
And Joe Weider.
Who just recently passed away,
yes, he did.
is a living legend. And as a matter of fact, I have one of his magazines here. And a young man that has won the last 2 Olympias and favored to win about the next 10.
Wow.
Is a guy that I had exclusive interviews with, and we made a great friendship. He was here in Pittsburgh, and I'll show a picture of him This is him. This is Phil Heath.
Hold that for the camera.
Phil Heath. I'll hold the camera.
No, just hold it in front of you.
He is shredded.
And I tell you what,
No,
he's
that's
shredded.
wrong,
but the thing
Let
that
me hold it.
I'm holding it. What, I gotta be wrong.
Get that.
Okay, I'll get it in. I'll hold it
close
in
up.
front of me. But I tell you what makes this guy so unique,
There
if you
you
guys get a chance to see his story, he actually went to the same high school as the drunk Samoan for the Steelers.
No.
Yeah.
Alameda.
Yeah, same high school. It was all black high school with some Samoans and Mexicans added. And he actually won a state championship in basketball with Jamal Crawford was one of his basketball players that plays for the Clippers now. He was the first ever at his high school to get a athletic basketball Division I scholarship. He went to the University of Denver, which is an all-white school. So it was a transition. He went from all black to all white. But after 4 years, he bulked up to 5'9", 180 pounds as a basketball player.
Did you say 5'9"?
5'9", and he wasn't recruited by the NBA, so he began lifting weights with some students at Denver because he did 4 years of college, but was a year and a half away from a degree, and sort of like myself. And so he started working out with some college students, and they got him into bodybuilding, and he was able to bulk up through good eating to 260 pounds, all muscle, and he competes on stage at 250. Wow. But we had a great relationship. He was at Soldiers and Sailors, and I tell you what, the women that was coming up, oh my goodness, I didn't want to leave him.
What's your scouting report?
Oh my goodness, bikini models was coming up. They had the fitness models coming up. Kids was coming up. Guys was coming up. A lot of people thought I was his bodyguard, and I tell you what, things that the women was offering, if I could get them close. And I don't turn down nothing but my collar, but we had a good time. We had fun, and hey, that's my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Wow. Check out my article on Phil Heath. It'll be out tomorrow.
And the new Pittsburgh Courier. And then see it all over Facebook. We'll have it on LinkedIn. This guy, we're trying to get him a golden quill. He has one.
Well, I don't know if the people from his friends from the University of Denver will get the Pittsburgh Courier, but I know the folks in his high school will get it.
There you go.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. And now we go to my second favorite.
It's incredible.
Second favorite time. Chips trivia time.
Oh, thank you, Al.
Second.
Well, being that we're into the month of May and, second month of the baseball season, some things that I'd posted earlier on Facebook, with the advent of May, and I'm going to go over this is going to be Fast and Furious.
Whoa, there's a movie coming out, Fast and Furious 6.
A bunch of baseball trivia, but May 1st to start the month off. May 1st is a significant date for two reasons. In May 1st of 1991, two historic events happened in Major League Baseball. Ricky Henderson broke Lou Brock's career stolen base record, and he stole his 963rd base to pass Lou Brock as the greatest base stealer in baseball history.
Wow.
May 1st, 1991. Also on May 1st, 1991, the greatest pitcher that I have seen in my lifetime, Nolan Ryan, pitched his record 7th no-hitter. He was pitching for the Texas Rangers that day. Now, also on May 1st, in 1992, Ricky Henderson broke another milestone. He stole his 1,000th base to become the first base stealer in baseball history to break the 1,000 steal mark. May 2nd, 1920. This one's for my friend Alan here. The Babe. Babe Ruth hit his first home run as a New York Yankee. That was on May 2nd, 1920. But on May 6th, 1915.
That's better.
Babe Ruth, pitching against Walter Johnson, who's one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history, beat him as a starting pitcher 3-0. Babe Ruth had 3 hits in that game. One of them, his first home run of his career, the first of 713. That was on May 6, 1915. Now, just some other useless facts about the game of baseball. In 1839 was when the first baseball game was played. in 1848, the rule was passed that you could actually tag first base for an out instead of having to tag the runner.
Really?
1857, baseball decides that 9 innings determine the length of a game, not 9 runs. That was the first time that was done. The very first professional baseball team in the United States, 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings. In 1874, the batter's box was adopted. In 1876, the National League was formed. In 1883, the first game was played under the lights. And in 1890, we were talking about Tim Hudson and his 200th win. And I talked about the measuring stick of 300 wins. Well, there was a gentleman, his name was Denton True Young. He was probably the greatest pitcher in baseball history. He had 512 wins.
Really?
And in 1890, he pitched his very first game and he won it. Most people recognize his name by his nickname, that is Cy Young.
Wow, I like that. Well, let me ask you this, Chip. What was the Cincinnati? Did you say something?
Cincinnati Red Stockings.
So that was different than the Redskins. Let me ask you guys this: Do you guys think that it's politically correct for it to be the Redskins, or you think they should change it?
My personal opinion on that, I think if we waste our time trying to pass legislation to get them to change the name of that football team, we're wasting taxpayers' time and money.
Well, if
to be honest with you, the team, I don't see how anybody could find that name of that football team offensive.
I agree with it, but I do think that if they do change it from Redskins, I think that the baseball ought to change from stealing bases with all these brothers stealing bases. I think that's politically not correct.
Well,
Change that on Ricky Henderson.
I agree with Chip.
Yeah, but they're
for a
proud
different
to
reason.
steal the bases.
That's like
Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson.
Yeah,
Larry Wills back in the day.
I was reading this week that there's politicians in Washington that are trying to pass legislation to force the Redskins to change the name of the football team. And I'm sitting there looking at people standing in food lines, not getting food stamps, people getting their unemployment benefits cut off. We've got bigger problems in this country to worry about that need fixed than changing the name of a football
I agree
team.
with that, too, because I was supposed to be in Cleveland today, but I didn't go because I didn't want to be kidnapped.
But for 10 years. You're not a lady.
wait a second. This just in.
Hey, one question though, Chip. I don't see anywhere on there Abner Doubleday that he founded baseball. They made that up. Abner Doubleday.
Well,
He didn't really invent baseball.
The thing about the Cincinnati Red Stockings, and they being the first game, and this is only within the last few years has this changed. But one of the things that happened every spring was the Cincinnati Reds would always play the very first game of the season. Like usually, Pirates started the season, their first game was April 1st. That was on a Monday. And usually, what the Reds would do is they would play an hour earlier. Their first game would start an hour earlier than everybody else, in homage to the fact that Cincinnati was the first professional baseball team. Now, Major League Baseball, and its infinite wisdom, and I think we can attribute this one to Bud Selig, saw fit that to break that tradition, but I think it was a good tradition to have. I don't see why other teams should have to. I mean, come on. The first pro team was in Cincinnati. Let's give them some props,
Yeah, that's
18. You mentioned 1883 is the first night game.
Yes, sir.
Edison wasn't even alive then. I don't know how they pulled
First
that
game
off.
played under lights.
Lights, electricity. Oh, by the way, this is truly just in. The Cleveland Browns have changed their name to the Cleveland All-Encompassing. So, that's just too much of a waste of time, as Chip said. Now,
hold it. We got to go to another segment here. Big Mike's questions.
Dial it in. And my questions were everything that Chip brought up, so I'm going to wing it.
Everything. What's the different thing here?
Oh, sorry. You guys got to help me out on this one. Jason Collins, the guy from last week,
Yes.
he's getting endorsement deals, but they didn't say which deals. I'm kind of curious as to what type of endorsements that guy's going to get. Any suggestions? Okay, now tonight's questions is well, I don't know. I'm curious because they didn't say.
When you find out, you'll be the first to tell us.
Probably a walk-in closet.
Well, here's the thing about Jason Collins, and I do admire the young man for coming forward, and but I mean, what an athlete does in his spare time, or when he's not playing his sport, I really don't think it's anybody's business. But I mean, okay, so he's come out and he's admitted that he's actively gay, but I think that's good in one aspect, but me being cynical like I am, I'm just wondering, the guy's been playing professional basketball for 12 or 13 years, and he's on the downside of his career. Now, the one thing that he did have always going for him that kept him on NBA rosters as long as he have is that he's 7 foot tall. And you can't teach 7 foot tall. I mean,
that's Jim's told us.
That's one thing. So he's getting on the downside of his career. He's an unrestricted free agent now, and I mean, was this a ploy to get him some notoriety so that somebody would pick him up, so that they could use the PR and everything? And is this just another way of extending his career? Right. But I do admire the man for being the first professional athlete to admit he's gay, because there are gay baseball players, there are gay football players.
No, not football.
There are gay hockey players, and there are gay people all throughout society.
We're gonna have to have a
and it really is no big deal, and I don't understand why it should be.
Well, I don't want to make light of any of that. It is serious. And people, hey, this is America. It is a supposedly free country to do what you want as long as you don't harm anybody. These opinions are just our own opinions. We're not trying to offend anybody, just so you know. And if you are offended, call in 412-831-3304. And we're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings there or what you believe in either. Now we got Big Mike with maybe one question left.
Call in will offend you anyway. This is tonight's theme is football, which made
How'd that happen?
Because I looked it up. This one's the change up, the point after try. Okay, now. And this had nothing to do with this, but this does. The point after try. Now, what was Jim Marshall of the Vikings?
Wrong way.
Wrong way.
No. Yeah, of course. But
plus, he played the longest consecutive game streak before.
He has a lot of
before Brett Favre.
Do you know
I think he played 275 games.
And do you know the Vikings were his third team?
I didn't know
that.
Yeah, he played 1 year in the CFL, and he played for. I think the Cleveland Browns before he
really.
Yeah, but before he started out with the Vikes.
And Jim Marshall was one of the famous Purple People Eaters.
Yeah, exactly.
Alan Page, Gary Larson, Carl Eller, and Jim Marshall.
Yeah. The forerunners of the Steel Curtain, right?
And what are your questions?
Okay, the question is
because we're answering things before you ask a question.
No, this is pretty cool. The point after try. I mean, normal rules don't apply because it's an untimed play.
Was it in the modern era?
Yes, football's modern. There's no doubt about it. Okay, now if Jim Marshall's, would you call this the Purple People Eaters?
Right.
If they successfully block the point after, and Jim Marshall picks up the ball at the 3-yard line and runs 97 yards in the right direction, what is he credited for?
One.
Nothing anymore.
Not now.
I think it's a touchback.
He is credited for, as Smokin and the Chop Liver One agreed to, nothing. It's a dead ball. He might as well just let it lay there or turn around and run sideways instead of that direction. Nicely done with the Viking hat. Okay.
Thanks.
No, you calling him up.
No. He hasn't answered his phone. He already admitted to that. No,
you can't get him on email.
No.
You texted him.
The fair catch, which we're all used to, the guy raises his arm, catches it.
Don't do that.
There's actually the fair catch kick. And who can sum that up in a matter of words? The fair catch kick.
I know the drop kick, but I don't know.
Well, you're on the right direction there, because the team that fair catches the ball can actually accept it where it is, and without using a tee, the team that has the ball, the offensive team, can try to kick the ball through the uprights without using a tee. In other words, the guy can hold it and he can field goal kick it, or he can punt it
from wherever he catches it.
From where he catches the ball, from where they catch the ball.
When was that rule put in effect?
Well, a long time ago, because the last guy that successfully did it was Mac Percival in 1968, which actually won the game for the Chicago Bears. It was a 3-point play. And it was attempted twice during the 2008 season.
By who?
Doesn't say. It's just said falling short
Probably
by
you gotta
times.
Probably
Google
Doug
some of
Flutie.
this.
Doug Flutie was good for doing stuff.
Drop kicks,
and
yeah,
all that,
but fair catch. Normally speaking, you're fair catching a ball somewhere beyond your own or.
Well, the
Yeah.
flaw I see with that rule is that if you're fair catching the ball, you're calling the dogs off. Everybody's the play is basically stopping. So I mean, to take advantage of that, I think is really.
That's the rule, though.
Yeah, I know, and then I don't think it's a very good rule because I think if you're going to attempt to do that, then. The headhunters coming down there ought to have a chance to clean your clock.
You want to knock Mike Vick every chance you get, huh? Calling off the dogs.
Let the dogs.
Last
Mike, what else
question.
do you have?
Okay, who can explain to me the questionnaire the third quarterback rule? Third quarterback rule.
Maybe Charlie Batch can call in.
No.
412?
831-330-4. Please, somebody call in. Jeez, oh man.
I'll call.
Okay, the third quarterback rule. I didn't even know that existed, but there is a third quarterback rule.
Well, you don't have to put him on your roster.
Well, say for example, your first two guys the two quarterbacks you have in the game.
That's the only time, Nick. If the third quarterback goes in, none of your first two quarterbacks can play after that.
Right on.
See that?
That was the hard ball.
Nah, that was
He
easy.
got it. I didn't know that.
That was on my finals for my general studies degree.
He aced it.
I aced it
He
again.
aced it.
Which general?
Well, it was the second. It was the second general.
And I meant to speak to this a little bit earlier when Big Mike mentioned this, but he keeps on mentioning, the hard ball and everything, and he was talked about the dead ball era, And it's funny that you mentioned that because I was on the way here tonight. I heard them talking about the baseballs and what they used to do in the old days. A baseball they would use the same ball throughout the whole game. So when somebody would hit a home run or hit a foul ball into the stands, that the players would have to go up and retrieve it from whomever caught it in the stands because they didn't have any extra balls. But several years ago, just out of sheer curiosity, we were at a Pirate game, and I'm noticing that after every pitch, they're taking the ball out of play and they're bringing in a new ball. An average Major League Baseball game, they go through 276 baseballs every baseball game.
That's a lot of balls.
And you know what
That is a lot.
and you know what the weird part about that is?
No.
The weird part is if a team had 13 singles in a row, that ball stays in play until, picture this. When the ball's hit into the outfield or it's an infield play or whatever, that ball stays in play.
Well,
the only time
watch how quickly the ump switch the ball out.
when the ball
Almost after every pitch, I swear, because
the pitch has to go into the dirt, and then the catcher just goes around. The guy grabs it and throws it out.
Well,
but if
now even the pitcher, though it doesn't
anytime
feel
the
right.
catcher
Right,
requests a new ball,
Really?
the umpire will
but
give him
that
another
ball, that same ball can stay in play as long as, it would only be for as long as the one team's up for the inning, as long as the ball doesn't go into the dirt when the pitcher throws it or he doesn't ask for a new ball. Whenever the guys are, the ground ball is second
What's
baseman.
the odds of that? I don't think it
hence,
happens.
No, but-
the fact that they're bringing in all these fresh baseballs, that's what the difference between the dead ball era and the live ball era is. Because as the game went on, the ball got beat up and beat up and beat up. It would become heavier. It wouldn't fly as far, and so.
Why do you think they said they knocked the cover off of the ball?
Wow.
The
they
stitching
used to.
come loose.
Yeah.
Then another thing that they had on the field. I don't know if you guys know this.
Oh, yeah.
They left their baseball mitts on the field between innings.
And what else was
Really?
on it? What
For
else was
what?
on the
Jock
field?
straps.
What else was on the field up to the 1930s? And in addition, I mean, I forget.
Tobacco.
No.
One
No,
no
this
jack-
this is crazy.
One no 42s.
The photographers were on the field. They were on the field, like in between the third base and first base line. They were on the field. I missed it. Tell
So
me
now
about
what,
it.
now what they did is they made them take their glasses off. They put a funny hat on them, and they're now called umpires.
Okay, now what was it? Because we got interrupted here. Because that was
I'm going to have
pre-40.
to watch the show this time to catch the one.
You
I
better
just-
watch the
The
show.
photographers were on the field in between home plate and third base and first base and home
Was it a
plate.
dead ball when it hit them?
I mean, was it in play? They were out
Why
of play.
did they leave their mitts on the field? That's all.
That was just
Because
like the thing.
Tradition.
It was a tradition, and the guy who would play first base for the other team would use their mitts because they didn't
Really?
have the availability of sporting goods that we have nowadays. Nowadays, you can have a new mitt every day if you want. You know, every swing
Every
you
inning.
take, you can have, you know, each player probably has 30 bats, you know, with him in the dugout, you know. So, I mean, these things, I can remember playing ball when I was a kid. We used to take a finishing nail or a screw. You'd crack your bat, you'd put it, glue it back together again and keep on
electrical
playing.
tape around it, absolutely. We used electrical tape around the ball when the stitches came
What happened to
apart.
duct tape? You didn't have it back then.
No, I actually didn't. No, sure didn't. It was
They
all
told us
electrical
to not
tape.
feed the ducks.
Yeah.
They got disease.
This whole show has become
But hey, you
trivial.
know, I mean, let's
No, it's
let's not forget about one thing going on tonight. Game 4 is going on between the Penguins and the Islanders, and you know, this is one of the things that getting a little bit tired of hearing. And to be honest with you, the Penguins have been completely outplayed and outclassed the last 2 games by the Islanders. And what I see in what the Penguins are doing, they're lucky to be up 2-1. And, you know, Alan mentioned that this series could go 7 games. Well, I'll tell you what, I do not want to see the Penguins play in a Game 7 against the Islanders. The Penguins have never beaten the Islanders in the playoffs in their history.
Really?
That is correct. They've only won 8 games against the Islanders in all of their history. The Islanders are playing like a team that is desperate, and they're playing like a team that is hungry, and they want to win. The Penguins, the last 2 games, are playing like a team like, oh, we're much better than these guys, and we don't really have to put in our effort. The Penguins need to play with a sense of desperation and a sense of purpose, and they definitely need to slam the door on these guys. They need to come back from New York with a win tonight, and they need to close them out because, you know what, the longer they leave these guys hanging around, the better a chance they have of losing. And right now, the Islanders are not impressed by the Penguins. They believe that they can beat them. That's a bad place for the Penguins to be in.
Well, I think a W will cure it, like you say. But if they don't win tonight, I think they can still do it. I believe that.
What?
They have the talent, and you got Orpik. He was on the ice today. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he is playing. Neil, he was on the ice. He's supposed to play tonight.
You know, I remember 1993.
Oh, they're both. I got the inside word from my man Chris with his
Right,
Penguin
Chris.
jersey with the A on. Thanks. He's one of the best cameramen. He's all business. He doesn't know the score yet of the game. I'm sure Devin. Oh, we got
man.
a tie game, 1-1.
Tie game.
Ouch.
So
as
we're
the
getting these
machine
updates
would
as
say.
we speak. But you got Orpik and Neil on ice. So my rumors that I had
In 93, everybody kept on saying, oh, we got nothing to worry about. We got nothing to worry about. And that's until you get bounced. And I'm telling you what, the way they set this team up for this playoff run, if they get bounced in the first round, there's going to be a lot of other people bouncing.
Yeah, good
First
point.
of them is going to be Bylsma because they're not going to fire the team. They're going to fire the coach.
I got to give him some Penguin Kool-Aid. I forgot it. You got to get on the Kool-Aid, brother. We got the Pirate Kool-Aid, but they're going to win. That's no problem. I did want to bring up some boxing. Smoking Jim, I heard Rod Sulka won another fight there at Cal U, your alma mater. We had a nice little journey there. We had a little vacation trip going up to Cal U. I saw Smoking Jim's alma mater. It's a nice modern campus now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we had a good time, and I was very proud of Rod. Rod's still moving forward. He won again. He's looking for maybe by the end of the year, maybe by sometime next year, to be able to trade that belt in for a world title opportunity. I think he can do it.
He has the talent. We're a fan of his. We've had him on our show. Check out our Sips Sports Bar. We have
Do you
him
have
on a
any
couple
problems
editions
finding Cal U? I think I heard you made a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
I was his co-pilot.
Al was my co-pilot, and I tell you what, we had directions. I'm going up 88 from Bethel Park, and we just got to talking, and the talking machine put the directions in his pocket, and the first thing we know, we were on a farm somewhere, and
We met some nice folks out in the country. They gave us some great directions.
Alan,
They came to your side of the car, though.
Yes,
got
they did.
my phone number in your phone.
I
You
know.
should not ever drive around lost. Just call me.
Well, we knew we were getting close. And we met some nice people there, so at least I did. Smoking Jim just hunkered down there. He's a good driver, I'll tell you, folks.
They saw
Slow
a
and
beach.
steady. He goes slow and steady driving down
They
the
saw a
road.
Beach Boys cover band. They said, we must be getting close to California.
Well, we almost got to see the fight. And, hey, we heard nothing but good about the fight, so it looked like a great venue, and we'll see what happens with the next boxing bouts that we go see.
You guys are promoting boxing in the Pittsburgh area, and I'm digging it. And I wanted to ask you, school me Fritzy Zivik, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Billy
Yes,
Kahn,
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
And they were world champs. Did
At the same time,
Did
yeah.
we have any others?
Paul Spadafora.
Paul Spadafore. Billy Kahn. You said Billy
Yeah.
Kahn?
Yeah.
Were there, what
Billy
weights was-
Kahn, he almost beat the invincible Joe Louis. He 13 rounds. He was going toe to toe with him, and all of a sudden
So
he
he was a
decided
heavyweight.
he was fighting a heavyweight. He was fighting above his weight class, and then all of a sudden, for some stupid reason, he decided to try to slug it out with Joe Louis, and well, that ended his moment of glory. But Billy Kahn was,
Michael
Pittsburgh
Moore.
icon.
Michael Moore
From Monessen.
How much was Billy giving up in that fight?
Probably 40, 50 pounds.
Really?
Maybe.
Holy
Wasn't
smokes.
it?
I
Yeah,
know,
he was light
on a
heavyweight,
boxing
yeah.
note, what boxing champion held his title longer than anybody else?
Larry Holmes. Oh, Joe Louis?
There you go.
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis held his belt.
25 years?
No, it was 11 years and I believe 8 months that he did. But I heard
Now,
that.
Joe was still holding. Joe Louis is making a comeback.
No,
By
but
11
that-
years.
But he held his title for 11 years, and you think about it, that was back in the day when those guys would fight 5 or 6 times a year,
Yeah.
and they fought all comers.
Contenders.
Yeah.
They fought everybody. There was no time off. Like, you remember, Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta, two of the best fighters of all time. They fought each other, 6 times?
6 times,
And Money Mayweather, he, filled his bank account again this past weekend, hand-picking his opponents,
Yeah,
man.
he
And,
did,
and I think, he may be undefeated and he may be the richest boxer that ever lived. But I think his legacy is tarnished because he hasn't fought the best
haven't
out
fought
there.
anybody, yeah, you're right.
I mean, when he had a chance to fight Pacquiao, when Pacquiao was on top of his game, the lawyers, he dodged,
Yeah.
he juked, he blah blah blah.
Good point.
Hey, you know what? The fighters that we've been interviewing on our show, Rod Salka, Sammy Vasquez, all the rest of these young men that are
Fast
fighting in the Pittsburgh gyms, these kids all want to fight whoever they can fight. They want to fight frequently. They'll take on all comers, and I love that attitude in boxers. And I wish some of the. I wouldn't pay $70 to watch Mayweather fight anybody, especially not a hand-picked opponent.
Chip, I got to butt in because we're down to the last minute of the show. Big Mike, you want to promote anything? You got anything going on?
No, I just wanted to say that this Crosby's on this cover Sports Illustrated only regionally speaking, and people say, like Mike Milbury, the announcer.
He's a moron.
Yeah, I know that, and he says that Crosby's a diver, and other guys say he's a diver. Who, as an elite athlete, wants to be on their skates with a puck on their stick more than that guy? He's not taking dives.
I'm glad you're drinking the Pittsburgh Penguin Kool-Aid, but
Love
we're
it.
running out of time, folks. I hate to cut you guys short. Smoking Jim, I know you had a late appearance. You owe us some time, so you're getting docked a couple bucks. No, same thing that we always get each week. Chip, Big Mike, thanks. Smoking Jim Frazier, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, everybody,
Chip
for tuning
Hayner,
in tonight.
and I want to thank everybody again. Dave Cable, Devin Shea, Chris. Appreciate the score update. What's the latest score? You hear any more? It's getting too late. Hey, thanks for watching the show, guys. Come to Sip Sports Bar. We'll have some more great sports talk and some fans. And shout out to any of our new listeners and people watching.